Hello and welcome to Caregivers First, a show brought to you by SCAN, the Social Community Activities Network. SCAN is a nonprofit agency dedicated to helping active adults stay informed, empowered, and inspired. I am your host, Lynette Whiteman, and I am the Executive Director of Caregiver Volunteers of Central Jersey. Caregivers First was developed to give you knowledge and help you navigate this time in your life. Our guests are experts who provide you with the latest information and tips to make your life easier. I am so excited to welcome my first guest today, Sueellen Arecchi, who is the Vice President BSA Officer from Manasquan Bank. And we are going to be talking about a topic that is on the minds of a lot of people these days and something that everyone needs to learn more about. And I'm talking about identity theft. So Sueellen, welcome. Thank you for joining me today.
Thank you.
So first of all, before we get started, give me a definition of identity theft. I think there's a lot of different thoughts about it, but what is the definition of identity theft?
The actual definition would be it's a fraudulent acquisition and use of a person's personal information, generally used for financial gain.
Okay, so that involves credit card theft, social security number, everything, right? All the things that somebody could steal to...
Any financial record, social security number, medical records, anything.
Okay, all right. And so your role at Manasquan Bank is a BSA officer. Tell me a little bit about what you get involved with at Manasquan Bank.
The BSA officer is the Bank Secrecy Act officer, and we monitor money laundering, anti-terrorism, identity theft, fraud, check fraud, wire fraud.
Okay, so that whole world. So you're really in that world.
We're the police of the bank.
Okay, very good. Okay, so let's talk about protecting yourself from identity theft and what are things that people can do. And I'll give you an example of what not to do. I have a planner, and I keep a lot of papers in the front of it. And one of the papers is labeled my mom's information. And I have her social security number, a copy of her Medicare card, everything. Full disclosure, we met to talk about what we're going to talk about to show. And I had that little book, and I left it at the diner when we left. And all the information was there. And then I realized that I panicked. I called the diner, and they had it. But ridiculous, right?
Yes.
Yes, okay.
Never carry that around with you.
Yeah.
Keep it in a safe place, a secure place, and shred it. Shred any records, bank statements, use credit cards, doctor bills. Doctor bills could have, medical records can have your social security number on it. You need to get rid of all of that. A lot of banks have shred day. Manasquan Bank has a shred day, I think, once a month. Mm-hmm. You can come, put all your stuff right in the big shredder and get rid of it. Shredding is very, very key.
Okay, so you get a bill from your credit card company, and you pay the bill, and then you put it in recycling, and all that. Well, actually, they don't have the credit card number on there, right? Isn't it just like the X's or something?
That's truncated, yes.
Okay.
Most today, in today's world, are truncating, and the X's, as you said,
right.
The last four digits are just the only numbers there. Still shredded.
Okay.
Identifying information, name, address, social security number, driver's license number, date of birth, all of that is your personal information, and you don't want that to get in the wrong hands.
Okay. I think the thing that most people do, and I don't know how this started, is there's something that people know for their magazine labels. People, for some reason, know to take off, or think that they should take off their magazine address labels.
Yes.
But then they put the other stuff in recycling. But I don't know how that started, but people somehow got the idea to take off magazine labels with addresses.
If you throw anything away in recycle, just in regular trash, there are people that literally, the bad guy is going through the trash and getting that information from there.
Okay, so
that's one of the
shred.
ways.
Okay,
shred.
So you're at the supermarket, or a store or anything, and you're giving the person your credit card. right? You're putting the little chip in and then whatever. Is there any tips about things that you should be doing?
Keep an eye on it. There are so many skimming devices out there in ATM machines, in the credit card machine, at the gas station pump. There are multiple skimming devices, and what that means is it's reading your credit card number, name, and all the information that goes along with it.
So that's not the ATM, that's another thing, that the skimming is something that is
Can be placed into any card reader.
Okay. So it sounds like there's a balance. If you're super paranoid, you'd never get out of bed in the morning, go shopping, or pay a bill, right? Because the risk is everywhere, versus me, who is like, whatever, if it's going to happen, it's going to happen. So there's a middle ground, I'm guessing, that you advise people about?
There is. For 2016, I think was the last statistic on it, 85% of identity theft was credit cards.
Okay. And how do they know how people got that information?
No.
Okay.
No.
So let's talk about somebody calls you, and it's Macy's, and they want to check your credit card or something like that. That's not legitimate, right? Never do that?
Perfect segue. I wanted to say how to protect. Shredding is number one. Sharing information would be number two.
Okay.
Be very mindful of who you're sharing the information with.
Okay.
Such as Macy's calling and saying, I need to check something. You don't want to give that information. You return that phone call.
Okay.
You
so
can
you
share
say
if you initiate the phone call.
Okay.
Email. You'll get an email saying, we're updating our records and we need your social security number, date of birth, and some other personal identification.
Right.
Don't email back on that. Call Macy's, call the credit card company, call the bank, whoever's initiating that. Another piece of that I'd like to add to that is when you go into a bank, a financial institution, a doctor's office, your child's school, and they ask for your social security number, they ask for these personal information, ask them why they need it. Ask them how they're going to store it. Are they going to keep it safe? Is it safeguarded? And what are the consequences if you're not going to give that information to them? I can tell you from a banking point, you can't open a bank account without the social security number. They're going to tell you how they're going to safeguard it.
Okay. All right. So if it sounds like they say, oh, we're just going to, it's on the shelf or whatever, you say no.
Might not want to give it, exactly.
Right. Okay. So you have that choice. The other interesting thing is that you mail so much information. When I pay my mother's Medicare premiums, the Medicare D, it's right on the check, it's right on the form. So I'm just putting that in the mailbox. When I pay her taxes, they ask for the Social Security number. Is there any way to protect yourself when you have to mail something?
Mailing is the third step of protecting yourself. You're writing a check, and technology has come forward, and what's happening now is a lot of check fraud has resurfaced, if you will, because there's so many key fobs and digital strengths on doing like a wire transaction, all digital type of online banking, if you will, that mailing a check now, the bad guys are going to the mailbox. You put that out in your mailbox with a little red flag up and you think your mailman's coming to get it. Unfortunately, your mailman might get there a little bit too late and the bad guy took that out. Now he has the Medicare bill that possibly has Social Security, has personal identification on it, and the check. And with digital printers and color printers and laser printers today, your check is copied, routing numbers on there, clearing the bank before you even know it.
Would you say, if you had to pick, would you say it's easier or less risky to pay online for something through a recurring credit card, or mailing, or it's the same risk level? What would you say?
I think mailing is more risky at this stage.
See, I would think it the other way, because you hear so many hacks and all that sort of stuff, and you never know where it's going in the universe once you send that in.
Right, in the cloud, it's going.
Yeah. So I would have guessed that the old-fashioned mailing way is the safer way to do it.
For a period of time, it was. Unfortunately, the bad guy, the fraudster, is aware that there are so many checks and balances in place for that now that it's harder to commit the fraud there. So the old-fashioned just have a check, reproduce a check, it looks identical, clear in the account.
That's a riskier,
it's a riskier
thing to do.
Level.
And so how do people know? What's the first sign that people get that either their check has been hijacked or their credit card? How do people find out that this happened to them?
2/3 of victims of identity theft don't even know identity theft has happened to them.
Wow.
So that's a scary thought.
Yeah.
How do you know? Because you're protecting yourself, and after you've shredded everything, after you've been careful who you shared your information with, careful how you're mailing out your bills, you are checking your financial statements, you are checking online your balances, transactions, your credit card receipts, you're checking all of that. That's how you're going to find out.
Okay, so it's from you doing your due diligence, because if you don't, your bank account could just be emptied before you even know it.
If you wait till next month to get your statement, a lot could happen in those 30 days.
And do you recommend people, I just actually saw a commercial last night for LifeLock, those systems that alert you.
Of them.
So do you recommend that? Is that a good idea for people to do? And you have to pay for that.
There is a fee for that, yes.
Right, but you say that that's a good thing to do?
Absolutely.
Okay. And is there differences between them? Is there a way to pick, do you know like which one is the best system?
No, I don't. They all pretty much are the same.
Okay. Okay, but you think that's worth the investment in it?
LifeLock seems to be the number one.
Yeah, well, they have the most commercials and stuff like that. And so LifeLock, with that sort of thing, if somebody writes a weird check on your account or they notice a credit card bill from Scandinavia, they will call you?
Yes.
Is that what happens?
But several financial institutions offer real-time alerts, they're going to call you and tell you something's unusual also.
Your bank?
Yes. Your credit card, all your major credit cards are going to call you and tell you something is unusual
even without that.
So
even without that
way to protect, I wanted to circle right back to that, another way to protect is make sure that your financial institution, your major credit cards, they have your current phone, email.
Okay.
They're not going to ask you for the personal information. They're just going to call and tell you something.
Right. Okay. We're going to take a short break, and then when we get back, what I want to talk about is if you get that dreaded phone call from your credit card company, from your bank, from LifeLock, what are some of the things you could do? But because I think people are like, yeah. But so I want to pick your brain about that. So we're going to be right back. So thank you for joining us here today. We're going to take a short break on Caregivers First. We'll be back shortly with more information with Sueellen Arecchi. Stay tuned.
You probably already know that rehabilitation is a must for successful recovery from surgery, injury, or serious illness. What you may not know is that you're free to choose where you go for rehab. In Monmouth and Ocean County, the compelling choice is Care One. Where you choose to go for rehab matters, and with Care One, you have 4 convenient locations to choose from in Monmouth and Ocean counties. Care One at Jackson, Care One at Wall, Care One at Homedale, and Care One at King James in the Atlantic Highlands. At Care One, you'll work with a team of experts to develop a plan based on your needs and goals. You'll have the full support of caring, compassionate physicians, RNs, licensed therapists, and nutritionists dedicated to helping you recover successfully, without setbacks, at a pace that makes you comfortable and successful in meeting your rehabilitation goals. Once you take the first step with us, you'll never look back. Call 877-99-CARE-1 today and come for a tour.
Welcome back to SCAN and Caregivers First. I am your host, Lynette Whiteman, Executive Director of Caregiver Volunteers of Central Jersey, and I am having a great conversation with Sueellen Arecchi from Manasquan Bank. So, Sueellen, right before the break, we were talking about the different ways that people should protect themselves and tips for that. But let's say worst case scenario, you get that dreaded phone call from the bank or from the credit card saying, we have detected fraud on your credit card. Somebody has hijacked your number. What are things that people should do when they get that phone call?
Lynette, they could get that dreaded phone call, or they could discover it themselves by seeing something unusual on their credit card statement or their bank statement.
Right.
The first thing they have to do is call one of the 3 major credit bureaus, Equifax, Experian, TransUnion, and I'll give those numbers out.
Okay.
They have to put a fraud alert on their personal information.
Okay.
That's first and foremost.
And how do you do that?
Call them.
By them. Oh, they do it.
Yep,
Okay.
They fill out. They'll tell you. They'll
Okay.
step you right through that.
Okay.
The next thing you need to do is call local law enforcement. So wherever you're living, that your local town police station. Unfortunately, the police station, the police are not going to be able to help you with it, but you need that police report. That's imperative, and you need to get a copy of that police report. The next step that you have to do is call the FTC, the Federal Trade Commission, and report the identity theft and what accounts were affected, what you suspect has happened, and then follow that up with writing and sending a certified letter with all the documents, including that police report that you went and got. All of this is going to help with the investigation and possible recovery of some of your financial loss.
Okay, so 2 questions. If let's say you didn't know, you're not associated with Equifax or whatever, they'll still help you? You still
Absolutely.
should call Equifax?
They're the 3 major credit bureaus. Yes,
Okay,
they will
so
absolutely
they help you. And number 2, if there is a credit card charge from Finland for ice skiing and you're in Ocean County, New Jersey, you've never been there, do you get that money back? Do you ever get, or do they drop that charge?
Yes.
Okay.
Once you've proven that it isn't yours, most major credit cards are going to investigate provisional credit and then credit you back.
Okay. And the resources that you gave out, the Equifax, the TransUnion, all that stuff, that will be on Manasquan Bank website. There will be a link to those resources.
That is correct.
So somebody after this, if they want to, get prepared for something like that. And it's probably better to know this before rather than later and panic.
Be prepared for it, correct.
Right, okay. And let's segue a little bit into financial elder abuse and that whole world.
Which is a good segue, because the bad guy, the fraudster I keep talking about, prey on elder. And it's a very sad thing. They'll get a phone call, they'll get an email, they're saying that their grandchildren are in trouble, their children are in trouble, send money immediately.
Right.
And then these people actually believe this.
Mm-hmm.
They come into the financial institution and they withdraw all of this money or want to wire this money to some foreign land.
Right.
And when you try to ask, they get really defensive. The reason they're defensive is because the fraudster, the bad guy, has said, you tell anyone, we're going to harm your grandson, we're going to harm you, we're going to harm is coming upon you.
Right.
So they're frightened. Mm-hmm. They're frightened, and
Right.
it's a scary, scary thing.
It is a scary thing. One of the things I want to, we're going to come back to this, I forgot to ask you this in the first segment. Not everybody, a lot of people are on social media now. And they're posting, I'm in Hawaii, I'm in this, I'm in that. Talk a little bit about smart social media postings.
We all want to hear about your Hawaii trip. I bet it was fabulous.
It was great.
Tell me after you're home and you're back in your home, so that the bad guy can't come to your home and rob your home while you're in Hawaii posting all those beautiful pictures.
So people actually monitor Facebook. They'll see
Instagram and Twitter,
and they'll see
absolutely.
Lynette Whiteman is in Hawaii.
Lynette Whiteman from Monmouth Mall,
Right.
wherever you post the most from, absolutely.
And then they drill down to your address.
Yes.
And that's who they will target.
Yes.
So the lesson there is post your pictures after you get home, not 10 days till my vacation in Hawaii. I'm so excited.
Right.
Okay, all right. I just didn't want to forget that because I think that's really
Very
important.
mindful on social
Right,
media,
yeah, just
what you share.
Yeah, right. Okay, so elder abuse, who is the biggest perpetrators? I think people think that it's somebody not known to the person, that it's some boogeyman out there. In reality, who perpetrates this the most?
Lynette, sadly, it is a family member. 98% of financial elder abuse is committed by a family member.
98%.
It's a huge percent.
Wow. Wow.
It's not the caregiver that you've hired to come in and take care
Right.
of mom. No.
Wow. Wow.
It's the family member unsuspecting that the caregiver's like, wow, this family member is showing up now. We never, this is great, and everybody in the family is like, oh, thank God, that's a wonderful thing, helping out. And then there's signs, and you need to pay attention to those signs. If your loved one, your mom, your aunt, your dad, becomes a little withdrawn, depressed, sad, and when you ask questions where normally you would get a really bubbly, a normal response, and you're not getting that, that's your first sign. Something's up.
Right. Is it rising now because with the opioid epidemic and more people
Yes.
becoming addicted and desperate,
Sure.
is that something that the corollary is that there's being more elder financial abuse? Is there a connection
There
with that? Yeah.
As we know,
Yeah.
Ocean County is the
Right.
highest rate for that. Or is it just greedy,
Okay.
thoughtless family people?
Easy. Right.
That thinks it's an easy target.
yeah.
Exactly.
I think it's such a complex issue because generally, if it's an adult child and they're the caregiver, the parent doesn't want to tell on them because they're so reliant on their care. So they don't want to tattle on them.
I think they're also embarrassed.
Yeah. Yeah.
This
yeah.
is my son, this is my daughter, and she's
Right.
taking from me.
Yeah. And does it generally start out very slow, like, Mom, give me $20?
Absolutely.
And then tell me the progression of it. How does it usually manifest itself?
I think depending on the needs of the person, the family member, or whoever is committing this crime, and it is a crime against the elderly, that I think whatever they can get away with, and they always will try for a smaller amount. Just like in ID theft, when they get it, they might do a small debit at a Walmart or something, a very small, you could go unnoticed on your statement. And then a little bigger, so it does grow.
Right. Is for credit cards, is it more common for individuals to get it? Is it not in corporations? Do they not steal business credit cards and charge? Or
No, it doesn't matter.
Oh, they do.
They're not exempt from this.
Okay. All right. So it's
anyone.
It's anyone.
Yes.
Okay.
It is more on the personal, the consumer side versus the business side.
Right. I know people now that I always think about this. When you go out to eat and you give the credit card, you get the bill, and then you put your credit card in that little thing, and then you said to keep your eye on your credit card, and then the waiter and waitress sort of disappears for a while with your credit card, and you don't know if they're having a party back there or what's happening.
Or there could be just writing down your credit card information.
Yeah. So
they can go online now and put in Visa, MasterCard, account number.
Right.
Because it's all right there, expiration date, and your security code on the back. They have all of that.
Oh, they have that all information.
So you should be mindful when you at a restaurant, when you're handing out that credit card. How long are they gone with it? Kind of keep an eye when they leave with it. You can kind of see maybe the register where they've gone to run it.
Yeah. I've been out with people and they say, no, I want to sign this right at the table. I don't want you to take it. Is that something that you would recommend
That's a
doing?
very good safeguard. Yes,
Yeah?
it is.
Do you do that?
Yes, I do.
You do?
Yes.
Okay, all right. It just seems nervy to me to do that. Like, I don't trust the waiter or waitresses. I'm too polite, I guess. So you say...
It's not nervy.
Yeah.
They say it all
All
the
the
time.
time. So you say, I would like to do this here?
Yes.
Yeah, you say that? Yeah, you say, I would like to sign this here. Don't walk away with my
Right.
credit card. All right, I'm going to try to do that from now on. That's a good thought. So you've done everything right in your life, right? Are there new things being developed all the time? Is this like you can't stay one step ahead of what people are thinking?
The chip-enabled cards a couple
Yeah.
years ago when they became mandatory. and
Right.
In the banking world, we all said the fraudster, the bad guy, already has figured out how to get the information from the chip-enabled card. It wasn't securing anything.
Okay.
They are 10 steps ahead of
you.
everyone.
Right. Talk to me about how banks, where do banks fit in on this? And how do banks, if they see their customer, an older person who seems nervous or they suspect something, tell me what can you count on your bank for?
If a customer that's been banking with a bank for a long time comes into one of their branches and is with the caregiver, whether the caregiver's family or not, just with a caregiver, and is doing something very unusual, not cashing their Social Security check, not making a $100 withdrawal, but saying, I need $10,000 in cash. I need $8,000 in cash. Why, Mrs. Jones? Why do you need that? Very quiet, very nervous, very upset. Is the caregiver making you do this? They try to separate the person from the customer from the caregiver to see if you can get any further information. If nothing is given, the bank then has a responsibility to call Adult Protective Services. There's Monmouth County, Ocean County, where our branches are. But they're all over, and within 72 hours, Adult Protective Services will investigate that individual. Okay. And you can call, saying, I'm Manasquan Bank, and I'd like to report this, or you can call and say, I'd like this anonymous.
Okay.
And they will, the same 72-hour response is
still there. And so bank tellers are trained
Absolutely.
to identify the risk factors for this.
Yes.
And are instructed to call if there's a suspicion.
Yes.
Oh, I didn't know that. What is your feeling about now people are they're depositing their checks from their phones? You could sign up with an app to do that.
Mobile.
Which seems crazy to me, but is that secure?
Yes.
Okay.
The risk there falls on the bank. You can deposit that check with the app on your phone. You're taking a picture of that check, you're depositing it.
Right.
What's to stop you from going into another bank and depositing that check? So you have a $1,000 check. You've deposited it to your mobile app, to your bank ABC, and then you go into bank XYZ and deposit it.
Okay. Yeah.
But there are means in place for duplicate items.
Good. All right. So just to recap again, don't go crazy. Don't get out of bed in the morning, but just be smart about what you're doing. And there's going to be a whole ton of resources on the menu. Always shred.
Careful.
Yes.
You share
don't
it.
leave your book at diners with your mother's information.
Not a good idea.
Not a good idea. For further resources, Manasquan Bank website will have a link to all these resources, correct? All right. Thank you, Sueellen. You gave out great information today. Very good. So thank you, everybody, for tuning in to Caregivers First today. And I hope you learned some helpful tips that will make you smarter in this scary world of identity theft. This show was actually suggested by a viewer, and we really appreciate that. So I'd love to hear from you and what topics that you would like to hear in the future. You could call SCAN at 732-542-1326 or email us at office@scannewjersey.com to send us your show ideas and feedback. Thank you again for joining us, and I hope everyone has a great day. Thanks. So.